Good evening again. This is the Varsity Jazz Band. Before we start, I just want to reiterate on something Mr. Bassett said. It's really incredible that we have so many kids interested in jazz, and the fact that we have 3 jazz bands is really exciting. We took all of them to contests, both JV and 9th grade, got excellent ratings, and then varsity got superior at contests this year. And it's just truly special. We had judges in my room that were making sure that they made it to the other judges' rooms to listen to the Edmond Memorial Jazz Bands, because they knew we were bringing 3, and we have a really good reputation in the jazz world here in Oklahoma. And I'm not making that up. It's really, really neat. It's also really cool to see so many kids from our band program that also play secondary instruments. I know Joel is a flute player, but he plays trumpet, and then Josh plays trumpet in the JV Jazz, and some other people play secondary instruments as well, so that's really neat. We have 4 charts for you tonight. Contest was 1 week ago. Usually it's 2 weeks before this contest, so we have 2 charts that we've been playing for a while, and we have 2 charts that we have been playing for the last 5 days. And amongst the last 5 days, raise your hand if you had 1 AP test that you missed for. Keep it up if you had 2 AP tests that you missed for. Keep it up if you had 3. Okay, I think that's about right, because we have more AP tests next week. So it's a lot of fun. They've pulled together some hard stuff in just a few days. We'll talk a little bit more about those charts as we get to them. First one is going to be Basie Cali Blues. It's a Basie style chart. Big band with jazz bands really designates and starts around Basie band, Ellington band, and then jazz combos. And so Latin and funk and all the different salsa type groups really start around the combo type situation. This is very much a Basie style big band tune. Hope you enjoy. You'll hear from Claire Weidman on piano, Will Nikoi on trumpet, and Josh Drumm on tenor saxophone. Hope you guys enjoy. You also heard a lot of really cool stuff from Ethan Neal back there on the drums. That's so cool. Next tune is a really neat ballad called Autumn by Bob Florence. So we're going to feature Josh Drumm, senior tenor saxophone. Hope you guys enjoy Autumn. Couldn't you listen to that all day? Good Lord. It's the only thing that would make me miss autumn and not summer. The next two tunes are new for us. The next one is a very, very famous funk tune from Herbie Hancock's hand. Originally arranged for a very small combo with him going crazy on synthesizer for like 4 hours during his solos. And this is arranged for the big band in this setting. The reason we chose this was probably because this group just kind of breaks out into chameleon every once in a while. If you've been to a basketball game where these guys play, we'll finish and they'll just kind of start playing chameleon in random places. So it kind of inspired us to play this. This will give me a lot of fun. We're going to feature soloist Corey Sullivan on trombone, Austin Taylor on bass sax, Cody Watson on trumpet, and Josh Drumm on tenor sax, all seniors. We're going to be very sad to see them go. Very special group, very special senior class here in this varsity jazz band. Did a fantastic job this year. Hope you guys enjoyed it. that is guaranteed to be stuck in your head for the next 3 years. Thanks again for coming out, and thanks so much for everything you do as parents and family members to support the jazz band program here at Memorial. We really wouldn't get to where we are without Mr. Bassett working so hard with the Cimarron Middle School Jazz Band. Let's give him a round of applause. And let's give Mr. Bishop and Mr. Bassett both a round of applause. They come early in the morning, and I appreciate you all as well by bringing those kids over. The jazz program would not be what it is without that middle school support and all these parents that come and support the concerts, support all the venues that this group plays at, and we really appreciate you so much. We're going to finish with something completely different. You're probably going to listen to it and think that is not jazz, but that's okay, because the big band is, in jazz, this jazz genre is really more of an outlet to be very multidimensional because of the instrumentation with the brass and saxophones and the bass and the guitar and the drums and the piano and different keyboard instruments. It really opens it up to different genres. The last piece we're playing, it was originally recorded by professional musicians, and they're called Youngblood Brass Band. And a lot of our kids listen to them on a regular basis anyway, and so they turned this into a really fun tune to do. Completely different. You're going to hear Brody Hollingsworth on sousaphone, laying down a whole bunch of stuff. The actual Youngblood band does not have a bass player or a guitar player. We kind of added that in. They don't really have the alto saxophones. We added that in, so we kind of adapted it a little to our purposes. Hope you guys enjoy. This is round one, Youngblood Brass Band. You're going to hear from Mark Bowden on tenor sax, Will Nicoy on trumpet, Lucas Barker on guitar. We're going to hear tons of cool stuff from Ethan Neal. We're going to hear tons of cool stuff from Brody on sousaphone and Sam on bass over there. Thank you all very much for coming out. This is round one, Youngblood Brass Band. On your way out, you should buy the leftover pecans and nuts and all sorts of goodies that are out there on that table. We have lots of extras, and we'd love for you to buy all of them. Thanks.